questions, I have cards with me if I need to.
Thank you.
I have more in the card. Okay, that's right.
The materials you said about trees, or is that something you can leave with the clerk? Or just show us now?
No, I was just going to, I had talked to Mike actually last week for a little bit, and there's a number of resources out there,
Yeah, okay.
you know, and this is in my personal library, but there's some wonderful material out there for Tree City USA. There's a program called New York Relief, which helps put out some very good educational pamphlets.
Is there a little bibliography that we could even post someplace?
I'll look. How about that? And I'll
Great.
forward it over. Okay.
Yeah,
That would be great, thank you. You can put it on a little informational page next to it or what.
So where are we with the money to pay for this?
Grant has been approved, we have all the documentation, all we have to do is do it, and then apply for the refund, the money back.
So we
As we go, we
pay
apply for it.
this consultant and then get reimbursement from the
Yes.
state?
Right.
Yes. Up to 19
Go on a monthly basis or something like that, or
As
whatever in
we
that
do it.
letter was. It
Yeah,
was
it says it monthly.
right. So
Do we need to see the selectmen?
It was already in the.
it was already.
It's already.
So you're all ready to go, and the village has accepted it in
Okay.
May, June is, I guess, that's what.
Yeah, we-
it is.
Yeah.
And we have to sign off on that, Laura.
Absolutely. No, I
So you
anticipate that.
send me the copy and I'll have the mayor sign off.
Right. And then again, it would be great to pick a date somewhere in between where we can sit down and actually put pencil on paper and say, you must get all of this. So it
So the
defines the
planning
scope.
board would be happy to make themselves available, I'm sure. Well,
How long
Yeah,
is
great.
this supposed to
You're home, Jesse, right?
do this survey?
No, that
I
was.
think we put in here, it'll probably take about 2 months.
2 months?
So, yeah, to get everything that we need to get. But I don't recall if there was a duration in here.
I don't believe there is a duration in the
No. My guess from the logistics, you know, my guess is it'll probably be a 2-month span where we have to be out inventorying. And then at the end, whatever, you know, products we want to produce for the village, that may take another little bit of time when you decide how you want your materials presented.
Right, well, I think that in the agreement, there was a GIS. Okay, and-
We just want to make sure that what we give you, you're
Is
capable of
what-
opening and
Right.
being able to use.
Great.
Okay?
Yes, thank
Any other questions? Okay.
Do you mind if I head home?
No.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, thank you. Good luck.
You said you had cards, right?
Oh, I passed them up.
So the other item
I'm
on
gonna go to my
our agenda
file
is
and
to sort of do a mock-up of the current dock law to take into account see how we would account for the changes the planning board suggested in the past to the dock law. And so what we've suggested were, I guess, basically three changes. One is that when the dock is constructed, if the dock is constructed, there shall be 18 feet between the shoreward end of a dock and any obstruction to allow a place to walk along the beach without running into a dock. And this number was chosen because the dock that was built at the northern end of Poquott in the last few years is 18 feet away from the seawall. And it starts below high water line in order to preserve that distance. So it seemed like it would be that we could define that as a distance that had to be kept clear. So if there was some obstruction, in that case there was a seawall. There are buildings along the beach that could block passage if the dock came to high water, but this would ensure that there'd be enough width to comfortably walk along the high tide, at about the high tide line without any obstruction. The second suggestion is that we, as currently written, it says that there need to be 100 feet between the edge of a village beach and any private dock. And we suggest increasing that to 200 feet, mostly because the docks, the beaches are not centered on the roadways, they're offset. And so with the two, going from 100 feet to 200 feet would include a lot of area that people do now use on the beach area. And then the third one was that the village has defined mooring areas and which are well used and established, and we think that a residence dock should not displace moorings that are there. The mooring areas as defined seem to go all the way to the shoreline, pretty much. And so that's something that was created by the Harbor Commission, I guess, and it's something that's pretty well established. So we wouldn't want to see moorings displaced by building the dock.
I think rather than, maybe just a different way to say it is that the docks are going to extend. They have to extend out into 4 feet of water, and
Yes.
that would certainly impinge on current mooring areas.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than the moorings going all the way to shore is what I'm saying.
Right, but yes. Oh, I see, yes. But
If a dock requires 4 feet of water at the end, that's not going to impinge on many moorings at all, because you really don't want your boat in such a place that with the swinging wind that could be brought into 4 feet or less worth of water. Plus, if you have a spring tide, high moon tide, the tidal range is greater, so it's going to be even less water. It could be down to just 3 feet, and you're not going to moor a boat in a place where that can happen, because if you get any kind of wave action, if it's an inboard, the propeller is going to be hitting.
Well, we have docks there for boats to be on, so that's the depth of those.
well,
boats
so
are.
the idea
Well,
is that
I don't think there's going to be a
right,
problem
so,
with
so
it,
we're
is what I'm saying.
The moorings take precedence over a new dock,
Right.
is what we're saying.
right, and so if I'm not sure that any of these would actually affect the construction of the new dock, but these are principles to follow.
Okay,
So
kind
that's
of a
the
moot
idea.
point. That's it.
Yes,
It's possible.
it's possible,
Yeah,
But
it's
we
better
still want to
have
say
in
it,
there
so it
Yeah.
doesn't
than you
arise.
Sure.
but yeah.
Well, the one dock that was going for variance,
Yes.
did displace the mooring. was going to, if it was
Yes.
built.
Right.
Would have displaced the mooring. So it may not be an ideal mooring location, but it could be.
It was a more.
Something
more
that someone's worked many years to move in close enough to get that mooring.
Have you defined established mooring field?
Uh,
Because I notice that, it does vary, but it seems to be moving down. People, I noticed a couple of moorings off the beach, off Take a Bluff. They're moving down and, I guess the economy's picking up people, there's more boats right now. But you could get into a situation where one mooring, sounds like that's what you're talking about, one mooring would prevent somebody from doing that if they were otherwise qualified.
well, so I tried to find the Port Jefferson Harbor management plan, but there doesn't seem to be one in the copy in the village.
Wasn't the person who got the
Port
moorings, doesn't he
Jefferson
have?
The library
Peter
doesn't
Murphy,
have
who
a
got the
copy.
moorings, I think.
If you,
Yeah.
Nobody seems to have.
what
a copy.
Brookhaven sends out, it does include the area down the beach there, going west from Walnut Beach. Down that beach is included in Brookhaven's mooring area for Poquott.
Right, there is a red line, there's a map with a red line on it.
Okay.
And the village assigns spots and somebody puts moorings in, so we haven't tried to track down exactly.
I just think, as long as we have a line, if somebody is going to sue somebody. If there's one mooring in the way, and the village says,
Well,
no,
that's
you
why
can't
It's-
do
I
that.
said, I tried to find the harbor plan and it.
It's delineated as the southwest mooring area, and it is in the Harbor Commission and the Harbor Management Plan.
Right.
But essentially, as far as Poquott goes, it's at the discretion of the person putting in the mooring as to where he puts it, just within the parameters of not swinging into someone else's boat. And that's it's been handled that way for decades upon decades here, and it seems to work well, because again, we don't have a plethora of boats there like you'll see on the Belterre side, because Belterre is open to any resident in the town of Brookhaven. All waters are just for Poquattians, and hence there aren't too many boats to have to worry about. So,
Okay, so thinking in terms of a village mooring area might get us into trouble if we don't have well-defined village mooring areas.
Or at least some way of adjudicating this. One person wants to put his boat in one place, and the person who wants to put his dock in that same place,
But
who
if
has the right?
he's in a mooring area, doesn't that?
Except that the
Well,
mooring
so
area
the-
hasn't been defined. That's
But
what I'm
then
saying.
maybe this,
Well,
We have-
well, it is
if they're
defined.
saying
But,
we
Yeah.
have-
but what you just said is that it'll go all the way down.
it goes
The
down,
bluff.
yeah,
Well, we can reference.
So,
well, let's
until
maybe,
you get near the channel that leads into Setauket
Mm-hmm.
Harbor, okay, which is past just up to like where Esposito had the dock. After that, the channel itself, the town of Brookhaven Channel to get into Setauket, swings in very close to the shore there to keep it deep enough, and obviously that precludes mooring in that area. If you go out of that channel at low tide, you're only in a few feet of water. So, and that channel is very close to shore.
so that they're too, well, I guess there would be nobody on that side who would have the ability,
It-
property-wise, to put a dock out there, I don't think.
Right.
I don't know, we can't really know what property might or might not be able to have a dock until we see all the details. I think there are lots that are wide enough, but we don't know.
Well, I'm just wondering whether or not in writing this up, there's some way that we can head this off at the pass. Just by saying, if there's a conflict, then the way it will be resolved is such and such, or something because we have two competing interests. We have moorings, and the moorings could be all along that whole area, and you might have somebody who is down there who does go through the process of applying for a dock, and they can say, well, I have a right to do that. So somebody has to.
Well, if it's a
Well,
restricted mooring area, doesn't that's how it's adjudicated, isn't it?
If it's
Well,
one
yeah.
mooring, you could move the mooring.
Well, that's what we're gonna, it
Well,
provides
that's
the
what I'm saying.
basis
So then there you
for
go.
discussion between whoever has the mooring and whoever wants the dock, that they can figure out how to work it out.
And I don't even think there are really any moorings, as I said earlier, that are gonna be located so that the boat might be in less than 4 feet of water at low tide. No one's gonna be there anyway, if
Well,
that's,
that's
how
the
far
minimum. That's the minimum depth.
Yes.
So a dock could be deeper than that,
Yeah.
right?
No,
Okay,
that
well,
is a
then-
problem. That's a-
then it could be a problem.
Oh, yeah.
No, the dock could be long. The dock has a set length,
It can
right?
extend to where it's 4 feet at low tide,
150.
So,
Okay.
or a
or
length.
150, okay. So that kinda, again, I think it's a moot point. They're really not gonna overgo that much.
Well, we already know of a case where it has been a problem.
There is
so-
one, wow.
Yeah, because of the swing area of that boat was in. that-
Where the dock-
Where the dock would have been.
Hmm.
It was, you know,
Well,
4
we
feet.
should track down this mooring map and just see what it is.
So Ted, how was that resolved?
They rejected the,
Oh, okay, so that was-
Well, it got to the ZBA. and it
Didn't
was-
have the side yard.
Right, they sought a variance, and the variance was denied. Not just because of that, but it was a comment made at the time.
and it also went to Article 17.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But clearly, had it not had all those other issues that were the basis for resolving it, that was heading in that direction. Because that somebody wanted to, exactly what I was saying, somebody wanted to build a dock where somebody else's mooring would swing into the area.
Well, the same argument could have been made for the side yard. I mean, why make a side yard because somebody might adjudicate it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
Well,
it's
right, the issue
reason
was,
for doing
the
it.
issue was the side yard,
Right.
nothing to do with the mooring.
Right, that brought it to the ZBA.
The side
For
yard.
Yeah, for the variance, there was a provision for the variance in the dock law.
Right.
And then the person said, well, my mooring's there.
Challenge.
And so we, I guess, denied the application.
Well, I think
I understand.
as I recall, the person whose mooring was there, could also have sought a dock if he could get a side yard variance. And if they were gonna grant one, he was gonna make sure they granted 2 or 3 or 4 or a half dozen or
Right,
a dozen
right.
side yard variances. And so, so I don't know why exactly the ZBA, what their rationale was, but they declined to issue the variance, and that provision has been removed from the law.
You cannot apply for variance.
Right. But in any case, it was something that came up at the time, and so this is an attempt to recognize that this could happen. But it seems like we should understand where there are, what these mooring areas are, and just so we know what we're talking about.
I'm the representative of the village on the Harbor Commission, so our next meeting is April 13th. So at that time, I'll see if I can get a copy of exactly what the southwest mooring area is,
Yeah.
according to
We should-
Brookhaven.
We
Oh,
should be able to
good.
get that from the harbor master too.
Yeah, well, that's who runs the Harbor Commission, yeah.
Well, I talked to him and he said the Port Jeff Library had them, but copies are missing from the Port Jeff Library. However, he may have one, so you get a copy of that. All right, so anyway, that's what we have been thinking about, and I don't think these would have too much of an impact, but we, as I say, we don't know all the details.